lectionary readings for today, the 1 Thessalonians 5, 8, and then Matthew 25, are making a wonderful, challenging point for us. The 1 Thessalonians, thank you, Jerry, for those readings. I'm really grateful. It starts off the 1 Thessalonian reading and it says, "But since we belong to the day." I love that presumption. We don't belong to the night. We belong to the day. That's where we belong. We should abide there. We need to be there in the light. When you belong to the day, your demeanor is one of openness, right? When you belong to the day, there's nothing, there's no shame, there's no hidden agenda. Huh? You belong to the day. You're just out there. It's like the noonday sun is shining on you when you are in the day, right? And nothing's going to be hid because your shadow is directly below you, so you're in the day. And so whoever sees you, wherever you go, and there almost is also a presumption of a kind of happiness, a contentment, a sense of inner peace. The songwriter, "It is well with my soul," kind of thing, right? When you sin, and so Paul says to the Thessalonians, since we are of the day, we have the opportunity to walk in that hope and in that confidence. We have the prerogative to not live by fear. We have the prerogative to live knowing that we have the peace of God abiding in us. And we can go about the hassles and the hecticnesses and the helter-skelterness of our days, right? With, somebody gets in your face and you go like, "I'm just not going to go in there with you." Because that's folk will get in your face, right?
Oh, yeah.
the Beltway, wherever it is, and folk will hurt us and will do these things. But the scripture is asking us to encourage one another and to build one another up. And what that to me translates to is we tap each other on the shoulder and say, "Remember, you're a child of the day. You don't have to enter into that mess with that person that's in that negative place." Right?
Right.
When somebody's in those negative places, and come on, let's be kind, because some of us go in those places too. Yeah, we do. Sometimes I'm in one of them negative places. We've been there. We all been there. So it's not like it's other people that do it to us and we're the victims all the time. No, we're there sometimes too. But the thing is, the scripture here, the Thessalonian passage is saying, build one another up. Encourage one another. Reminding one another who we are and whose we are. And that we can choose the high road rather than the vindictive road. We have that option. We do. We have those choices. Now, one of the problems by being human beings is that, doggone it, God created us with free will.
Amen.
Yeah, that really is problematic for a lot of us. Because it would be really great if God just would make all of us good.
Yeah, well.
and predetermined that we would make good, right choices all the time. Right? That wouldn't that be convenient? That everybody would be happy, there'd be no drama. But unfortunately, the reality is that we're all human beings, and part of being human is that we got this free will thing going on. And we make choices. And in those choices, if those choices are decided based on fear or doubt or suspicion. Huh? If we make choices, then we end up having to suffer the consequences of those choices. Right? We can't blame nobody because we made the choice. Right? I can't blame Fred for a choice that I made. I mean, we tried. We tried to dispel it and put it on somebody else. But, come on, let's, you got to go, nah, I got to own that. I did that to me, And we can always turn to God and say, God, why'd you let that happen? But see, even that don't fly because we're going you made the choice. I love you, but I'm not going to just climb in your head and make your choices for you, But I'm with you through your good and bad choices. Huh? I'm with you to help you clean up that you made. You fill in the gap, Yeah. Yeah, cause we do it. We make these messes, and sometimes we step in it. Sometimes we ought to walk around it, but most of the time we usually step in it, unfortunately. And we got to then clean it up. I don't mean to be too graphic here. All right. The parable of the talents is connected. I'm really grateful that the organizers and the planners of the lectionary connected these two passages because to me it is an opportunity for us to build one another up. It is. It's an opportunity for us to help one another be better. The parable of the talents, let's look at the context. Jesus is telling it in the beginning of the Matthew 25th chapter. It starts off with the kingdom of heaven is like, right? So the parable is one of the kingdom parables. The kingdom of heaven can be described in so many ways, but for our purposes right now, I'm going to offer that the kingdom of heaven is the way God intends that the world is going to become, what God wants us all to be together, and how God is going to bring things to fullness and oneness and unity. And that begins in the present and carries on to the future. Ain't no pie in the sky thing. The kingdom of heaven, Jesus was very consistent in his teaching that the kingdom of heaven begins in the present. He said it how many times? He said the kingdom of heaven is among you. It is in the midst of you. So that means it's not something later down the road. It's something that is beginning now. So the kingdom of heaven in this parable, the parable of the talents, is like a wealthy person, and he has all these servants. And we're familiar with the story. The various servants are giving various quantities of talents. Now let's look at the word talent. In ancient times, the talent was equivalent. Now wrap your brain around this, gang. A talent was equivalent to 15 years worth of a day's labor. 15 years worth of a day's labor. So for the guy to get 10 talents means he was given a lot. It's enormous. I mean, you're talking about what, 150 years worth of pay. So you're sitting pretty. You're sitting. So this wealthy person is anticipating. He's getting ready to go on a trip, and the wealthy person goes to each servant and gives them a certain amount of talents. One with 10, one with what, 5? 5, 2, and 1? Okay, 5, 2, and 1. All right. Thank you. Y'all reading it. That's good. Keep me straight. Keep me straight. I like that. Keep me straight. Keep me on it. That's good. I like that. Yeah, good. Okay. And so he, since this is a parable of the kingdom of heaven, and this is how the parable begins, the commentators make this wonderful point that the kingdom of heaven begins with an act of divine generosity. It begins there with this act of enormous, beyond our wildest comprehensions, generosity. So why do you and I say "my" all the time? How come we say that my car, my job, my bank account, my boyfriend, my girl, whatever? We use the word "my" way too much. It's in our vernacular, and we tend to. But see, we have to do the work of keeping things in proper perspective. Our entire existence, everything around us, everything. Let me say that again. Everything is a gift. An enormous, incomprehensible gift with which we've been each entrusted. None of it's ours. Nothing is ours. It's all God's. All of it. God made it, so it's God's. I mean, did I make anything? Have I made anything? Do I have the capacity to make any? No, God made it all. Our children, our loved ones, everything around us, we've been entrusted with these things. And in a divine, enormous act of generosity, God begins our kingdom journey with this awesome generosity. Jesus incorporates all these realities into his parables. Some get 5, some get 2, and somebody gets 1. Now, I've always would like to believe that everybody's got lots of talents. Huh? Everybody's got lots of abilities and gifts, but the reality is some folk get 5. Some folk got 2. Some folk got 1. It's not so much as what you got, because it ain't ours anyway. It's what we do with it. What are we doing with it? I start messing up when I get caught up in the "my," because the "my" takes me down the path of egotism, don't it? Mm-hmm. When I go to my land, what? When I go to my land, oh, I can sing. Oh, I can preach. See me? Oh, yeah, give me all that glory. And we're in front of people just shining. Everybody likes all my talent. All the while, it ain't got to do with me. It has not a thing. I just happen, you just coincidentally were the one God said, these are what I'm going to give you. This is what from the time we're born to the time somebody lays us in the ground or whatever, to that window of time that we got, what are we doing with what we've been entrusted? It's straight up. It's straight up. And the tragedy, I'm glad this is just a story. It's just a parable, because like the other parables of Jesus, it's giving us a warning. It's giving us that tap on the shoulder to look at the characters that did right and look at the characters that messed up and recognize that we're both. Sometimes we get it right and sometimes we mess it up. Huh? We're all of the the characters. So don't just look at the parable and go, oh, I'm going to be this one. No, come on, that's not real. It's not real. Sometimes I'm that guy that buried it in the ground. Yes, I got to own that. Come on.
Right.
That's just being honest. I'm not going to always be the one that invested it and see, we got to be real about it. So, what's interesting, I got to say this, the commentators say that in Jesus' day it was a common practice, it was an accepted practice when someone was entrusted with something in order to keep it safe to bury it in the ground. That was a common, accepted, uncondemned practice of the time. And so he was just doing what he thought was the right thing to do. Since he only was given one, he was saying, like, I'm afraid because I know this guy's serious about his stuff. So I'm scared that if I do anything with it and mess it up or lose it, how many times, brothers and sisters, have we exhibited static faith? Stagnant faith. An opportunity was presented where we could have been a blessing. We could have stepped up and stood in the gap. We could have helped. We could have given that positive word. We could have lended that extra sandwich that we had or something. An act of love, an act of kindness, an act of mercy. Because that's a talent. Sharing the word of the gospel, that is a talent. If you've been entrusted with the good news of the gospel, God has given you God's love to share. And you say, oh, I ain't going over there. All they're going to do is just chew me up and spit me out. So I'm not even going to deal with them. How many times have we done that? Too many. We've it is our responsibility, since it's not ours anyway. Since it's not ours anyway, to have an active faith life. An active faith life. An interactive faith life. Because that's what we were created to be. Yes, we have free will. That's the problem. That's the challenge. Since we have free will, in the parable, Jesus put this component in the parable. The master starts off with this wonderful act of generosity and gives everybody the respective amounts of talents, and not everybody gets the same. So, but everybody has the opportunity with their free will to all exhibit faith. That's where the equity comes in. Everybody, whatever our respective amounts of talents, we all have the prerogative and the option to exhibit faith. To exhibit and to implement and to actualize interactive faith. Everybody's the same there. The wealthy guy leaves. He doesn't micromanage. Oh my God, how many of us are micromanagers? We ask somebody to do something and then we got to be there standing over. Make sure you do it my way. Make sure you do it the way you think I think it ought to be. Shut up, David. David says I'm a micromanager.
Amen.
I'm not a micromanager. No, I'm not. No. Come on, David. So, he leaves. The owner leaves, leaving them to their own free will. Now see, with us, we know and we believe and we trust as our faith that God never actually leaves. God just maybe steps back and says, now what you gonna do with it?
Yeah.
I'm still here. But what you gonna do with it? Building up or burying is what's before us, my sisters and brothers. Are we gonna? And it is a daily. It is a daily practice. We have to practice this stuff. Tapping one another on the shoulder when we're starting to slide. Help each other get back on track. Building one another up, encouraging one another. Remember, it ain't yours. When you start to see somebody ego tripping, you got to figure out how. Now, see, those of us with big egos, it's kind of hard to talk to us. When you think about it, because I'm all that. I'm diva land. I'm in diva land, right? When you're in diva land, you can do no wrong. And how dare you? Oh, you just jealous. Right? I'm all that, and you just wish you had some. So we're really hard to talk to. So we got to figure out how to come down from our high horses, so that folk can actually help us be better. I'm just going on and on here.
Oh,
okay.
no,
Building one another. No, it's getting late, y'all. I got to shut up.
Oh, no.
I mean, the time is going. God has entrusted each of us. Nothing is ours.